This video is going to be a film study look at Lions rookie tight end Sam Laporta. I'm beginning to think he's like a rock star because the rookie tight end's been playing all over the place, number one, at a high level. Blocks well as an inline tight end, blocks well on split zone stuff. They use him as an outside wide receiver in some situations, and they design plays for him. I think his biggest impact, the one that I want to talk about at least tonight, is his usage on third downs and who he gets matched up against and how he can exploit that matchup. His quickness for his size is, I think, very abnormal and unusual. His blocking ability, when you add that in with him being a tight end who can go line up at outside wide receiver, you've got a very unique player. I don't like player comps. I really don't. I try to avoid them because I feel like they're limiting. The moment I feel like I make a player comp, in some ways I feel like that locks my brain into that comparison and limits my ability to look at the player as an individual. I don't think there's been a Sam Laporta. I don't. I really don't. I don't know what that means. I haven't seen too many guys who can line up at outside receiver like he can and legitimately play wide receiver. Like he could play that every down, pretty much. And I'll show you some reps of him winning. We're going to start the film off here with third downs against the Raiders, a couple of second downs sprinkled in here, and his red zone impact as well. Ben Johnson appears to design plays using his quickness and his size, and then Jared Goff likes to find him on third downs, either over the middle or to the sideline, to the boundary generally. If you're new to my content, I have maintained for the better part of a year that, well, a little less than a year, I started covering the Lions really like week 12, 13 last year, that Ben Johnson attacks to the boundary in specific situations, oftentimes on third down. Let's get to the film. And again, we're going to start with film from week 8 against the Raiders, and where he had 8 catches for 57 yards, by the way. And then I'm actually going to include some film from earlier in the season for illustrative purposes. So this is a 3rd and 3, first quarter. They got quads down here to the bottom side, bunch quads, whatever you want to call it. And this is by design. Laporta in motion, basically snag flat to the boundary, up to the top side. Again, I think Ben Johnson is a guy who recognizes that the nickel lines up to the field almost all the time. And so he wants to attack to the boundary and control the matchups and use his big, fast, quick tight end, Sam Laporta, as a matchup edge down into the boundary. 3rd and 8. This is an incomplete pass, but notice where he's lined up. Ball is on the right hash. He's lined up to the boundary. Is it going to be a seam that he doesn't take to the outside? I thought that he was going to. So I think it's David Long guarding him. In any case, Goff throws it to the outside. Laporta never turns to get out there. He's seeing something different. Also, I think this guy's doing a great job staying on the outside leverage. You got the free safety in the middle of the field to help. There's really not many places for Goff to go with his football, so nice job on that one. Let's fast forward a little bit. Second quarter, you got 3rd and 6. And again, notice quads or 4 receivers to one side. Gibbs is the running back up at the top of the screen, lined up at receiver, but we know he's a threat. You can screen out to him, but this is what Laporta has done, I'd say probably half a dozen times this year on third down. So you've got St. Brown in the slot, and St. Brown's going to get some type of vertical release here. Outside of him is Laporta. Laporta's going to bring this here. If there was no defender, if there was just all open space down here, Laporta would keep going. So he's reading on the play, however. He's going to see the other team's jersey flash in front of him, and so he's just going to sit this down. Goff sees it. I don't want to say late, but Goff sees it later than I thought he would because Goff is also reading this. Goff's not going to throw it out in front of him with a defender sitting there. You can throw an interception or even a pick six, God forbid. So he sees Laporta sit down correctly, throws it on the inside a little bit, lets Laporta make the catch for an 8-yard gain to convert that 3rd and 6. This is a late second quarter drive, by the way, after the Raiders went down and scored. You can see Laporta coming across here. There's St. Brown. You can see him just a little bit. You guys got a frame that's in my streaming service there, but look at the throw because you've got this spacing element of Josh Reynolds coming in here late. Laporta has sat this down between the hash and the top of the numbers, and you can't see it here, but off screen to your left is basically a mirrored image of where Laporta is. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown's. I would say it's like a triangle read with the top of that triangle being Josh Reynolds in the middle of the field, developing late. Goff didn't have to work to him because he's got Laporta sitting down right here in what I would call zone 4, which I think is Goff's favorite zone to throw to. If you guys are interested in me explaining something about that, I'll do that in another video. So ensuing play, where's he lined up at? outside wide receiver. And this motion, if you ask me, is all designed to get him a clear free release. He turns it into a slant inside between the two linebackers. Goff sticks the throw in there. I think you've got some type of mix-up between the corner and the safety down here. Marcus Peters and the safety spun down. Laporta is bringing this inside between the two linebackers. You can see Goff is already pulling the pin on the grenade, throwing this thing out of here quick as possible so Spillane can't recover. Beautiful touchdown. I think that made it 16-7 late in the second quarter. Like I said, after the Raiders had answered. Sam Laporta seems to be a guy, this is not a third down, by the way. He seems to be a guy who makes big plays. I don't want to say necessarily big moments, like game-winning situations, but when there's a possibility for a momentum shift late in the second quarter, third downs, he shows up. I don't know what that is. He's a young guy. His career is yet to be defined. Don't want to fast forward things too much, but I'm interested in what he becomes in year 2 or 3 because he's so damn good already. 2nd and 3, and this is a hide concept, making it look like split zone. 2nd and 3, fourth quarter, 8 yards down here to the field. Notice where he was lined up initially to the boundary. Goff gets him the football, and you can see he's a load to tackle. He's not an easy guy to deal with at all for all his quickness and his hands. You know, he plays a little bit like a wide receiver. He is not easy to tackle at all, and you'll get more examples of that later when you see him basically run through 2 of the talented DBs that the Seattle Seahawks have. Again, it's a 2nd down, not a 3rd down. This guy can do everything. All right, let's go to, he's been doing this all season on 3rd downs. Now, this is actually one where, I think this is 6th possession, week 1 against the Chiefs. And when I saw this, I remember in my notes even putting, because I covered that game in terms of doing a reaction video, I even put, like, I thought he'd be able to run away from that because I've heard so much about him. At this point, I wasn't sure. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't sure about the athleticism. I was like, okay, he's just a typical tight end who lines up backside in a condensed split, and he's going to run a lot of drags, maybe an over route. Maybe he'll sit down in the middle depending on the coverage, and he's not going to physically beat someone with his athleticism, his speed, and his quickness. I was wrong. Absolutely wrong. This play is the anomaly. This play isn't the norm in terms of it's a 3rd down, he's running across, and he gets tackled by someone. I mean, he's going up against a starting caliber DB in the NFL, but he's won plenty of these matchups. Here's one from earlier in that game, by the way, against Trent McDuffie down at the bottom side of the screen. It's a 2nd and 11. Clean win on the inside. Kansas City's doing like a little zone drop, so there's no one there on the hash. They're zone dropping out a defensive lineman, so you can say, well, that area of the field was opened up for him. Well, McDuffie seems to be trying to trail him. It does look like a zone drop to me. You've got 2 safeties sitting there. He's absolutely wide open. He's too strong for McDuffie to press up on and for him to impede Laporta's route very much. That's the point that I'm trying to make here. Quickness, strength, speed, great hands. Watch how quickly he gets out to the flats here. This touchdown against Carolina from earlier in the season. He just gets to the pylon quick. There's also a tremendous lack of eye discipline by the Panthers DBs here. And you kind of get a view of it from this end zone angle that they're staring in the backfield and they're beat quite badly out to the edge. But Ben Johnson designs these things. The commitment to the run game forces people's eyes to be on it. That's the whole point. Creating that conflict, that run-pass conflict, letting Goff get clean throwing platforms from a boot. You can see there's nobody near him. Throw the ball out in front. Easy touchdown that's designed by the offensive coordinator, but they used Laporta on those for a reason. 3rd and 12 against the Seahawks. He's actually going to motion back and forth. He's going to have return motion. This is a 3rd and 12. This is a tough catch. I think it's against Kobe Bryant. And it's an illustration, I think, of how well he plays through contact, how well he's able to play. I mean, overwhelm smaller guys. Let's just say it. There's other tight ends that you could make comparisons to. You can feel free to do that. I won't. But there's guys that have been able to physically overwhelm smaller DBs before in these tight quarters situations. I think I'll give you the end zone angle of this one too, by the way. I mean, look at the window. Kobe Bryant's breaking on this football. He's not winning to the front side yet, but he's there. He's actually there a little early. Laporta still catches the football. See if I did give you the end zone angle on this one. Yeah, we did. Like I said, it's a 3rd and 12. It's a big moment. And he showed his not just his hands in that game, but he showed his physicality, being able to play through contact. If you're a Lions fan, you don't need me to talk him up, really. But this is the 3rd year that I've broken down NFL film and tried to expand my channel to Lions content because, well, I did that last year by design. I wanted to. And it's been interesting for me to watch some of the offenses, particularly Ben Johnson's offense versus Todd Monken's, their willingness to attack to the boundary with different concepts. In the case of Ben Johnson, it's with the tight end. And sometimes he'll invert that personnel and he'll put Laporta to the field and St. Brown to the boundary. Here's Laporta to the field, the ball on the left hash. Here's St. Brown down here to the boundary. This is man. This is a 3rd and 4 against the Packers. I think Monday Night Football, or was it Thursday Night Football? One of those two. The Lions have played on, in big games, Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, so much already. It's kind of tough to remember at this point. This is a tough play. 35 yards. The catch and run, I think, is impressive. You guys let me know, man. If you're not a Lions fan, you're listening this long, you may not know much about the guy, but I've watched every single game of the Lions and then a ton of film repeatedly, and I don't know who to compare him to. In fact, I don't. I legitimately don't know who to compare him to because I've only been doing this for 3 years from a serious standpoint, and I just cannot think of another tight end with this level of athleticism, strength, ability to play through contact, and great hands. And then, oh, by the way, you can put him as an inline blocker or counter plays, and he can be a lead blocker like you saw against the Chiefs in Week 1. This is a tight window. Goff is getting this through here. It's kind of what he does. I don't know, Lions fans have to be excited when you see plays like this, but on some level, it's kind of par for the course. Fake little smash. He's going to make it look like he's running this, and then he's going to sit this thing down top of the numbers. And the Ravens are getting ready to play the Seahawks here in Week 9, and I'm a Ravens fan, a Ravens content creator generally. This is Julian Love and Devin Witherspoon. He just runs through them. I mean, that's 2 talented DBs for that Seahawks secondary. That's 2 guys that know how to tackle. Laporta just overwhelms them. I mean, there's really no chance for them to tackle him. He spins out of it. I think it's a 23-yard gain. Just shrugged him off. I don't know. It's a tremendously impressive play, if you ask me. Last one, he's matched up against Lavonte David at the bottom side of the screen here. And this was a tough battle. I think this game probably made Laporta better over the course of his rookie year and his career. Lavonte David played amazing. I've actually thought about doing a couple film studies of him since this Week 6 win by the Lions because of how well he played. So they've got him matched up, and Laporta goes outside leverage. Of course, he's to the boundary, as you can see. Goff throws it outside. They tried to win on that route later, and I thought Lavonte David did a great job. Didn't leave much of a window. Man, you tell me if you're as impressed by this guy. I get to watch a lot of NFL film. The Ravens have a future Hall of Fame tight end, if you ask me, in Mark Andrews. He didn't come on the scene in the same way that Sam Laporta did in terms of winning on these 3rd down, high leverage situations against high quality NFL defenders. Now look, Lavonte David, I think it was 12 targets and 5 or 6 catches for Sam Laporta in that game. He did not overwhelm Lavonte David. In fact, I'd say Lavonte David probably won more of the matchups once you got to early mid-second quarter. But Sam Laporta has had an impact against everyone. Monday Night Football against the Raiders, 8 catches, 57 yards, and a touchdown. That kind of seems like the floor almost for his impact. I think he'd get more targets if there weren't so many talented guys on that team, number one. And number two, if they weren't so committed to the run game, it's possible that Sam Laporta could play in another system, an 11 personnel system that throws the ball 58, 60, 62% of the time, like some of the other teams across the NFL, and he'd have more targets and potentially be an 80-catch guy right now. That's the kind of potential I see, especially because in these high-leverage third-down situations, he's won so often. I probably showed you 6 or 8 of them. You guys let me know if there's any plays that I omitted or left out. If you're a Lions fan and you're listening this long, first of all, thank you. It's probably the 30th time I've said that. But second of all, I've decided to open my Patreon up to Lions fans if you're willing to support. It's $5 a month, and you'll get access to the film database that has every single offensive snap for the Lions this year on it with the data labeled so that you can search query and find plays as you wish. And then simultaneous to that, we've created a Lions Discord, which is a secure community for Lions fans to communicate outside of social media networks that can sometimes become toxic. That's what I offer if you join as part of my Patreon. That'll go live here Wednesday night after this video premieres. If you have any questions, feel free to put them up in the comment section here or send me an email, which I'll provide in the description. Appreciate you guys' time. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comment section.